these messages. Welcome back to This is Kansas City. I'm your host, Brian Boger, and I am joined in studio today with Dr. Vaughn from Spirit of Health KC, located at 5901 Main Street in Grandview, Missouri. You can find all their information at spiritofhealthkc.com. Doctor, I intentionally kept this wristband on because I went to the doctor today, and I spoke to my doctor, and I have all these, like I told you before the show started, I have a doctor for every organ in my body. Skin, everything. A specialist.
Right.
So I always go to these doctors for follow-up because I told you prior that I went through cancer and all of that, and I'm fully, almost, knock on wood, fully recovered.
Amen.
But have no symptoms, let's just put it that way. And I asked the doctor today, because after talking to you on a couple things, and I didn't mention anything, I asked the doctor, I said, hey, is there cures for some specific things? He said, well, like what? And I threw out a couple of things, and he said, oh, no, there's no cures for those things. You're not going to be able to cure them. But what we do here is treat the symptoms. That way you can just keep them where they are now so they don't get significantly worse and prolong your own life, which makes you feel better. That's what his response was. I didn't mention a thing, but I knew I had today's show coming up, and I wanted to find out your response to an answer like that from a medical doctor who is telling me these things. Sure. And he's not the first one.
Right. Yeah, that's what you hear all the time. And, grace to them. They are brilliant people. They go to medical school. They go 8 years to school. And that is what they're told. So that is what they learn in school. And I can tell you as a holistic doctor that that's 100% not true. I've seen thousands and thousands of people, and I've seen people that had a diagnosis, and now they don't have that diagnosis anymore. They don't have the symptoms, or they don't have the markers or the blood work or whatever way they're measuring that specific illness or diagnosis. It doesn't exist anymore. Take diabetes, for example. I've seen hundreds of people with diabetes. So you're diagnosed diabetes, and they get put on meds for life. Hey, there's nothing you can do about diabetes.
Nothing you can do.
Right? And then they come to me, and we make changes. We work on their pancreas. We help them understand insulin and what it does on the body, because it's actually a hormone. We help them heal their kidneys or whatever damage there is to their organs. And then per blood work, everything in their blood work looks perfect. Glucose, A1C, fasting insulin, those numbers are all perfect. They're not on any medications. They cannot go to a medical doctor, and have them be diagnosed diabetic, because there'd be no proof if their blood work looks perfect. So how do you explain that, and how would a medical doctor justify that? And sadly, sometimes I've had a lot of people healed of a quote-unquote disease or diagnosis go back to their doctor, get basically the proof's in the pudding based off of their lab test results, and the doctor basically just kind of fluffs it off, or they don't ask any more questions, or they don't really want to know, which is sad, because if we go to school to become a doctor, we should want to know how to get people well. And if something's working, we should want to know what that is so that we can help other people.
I understand that in the medical field, there is a lot of money that's thrown around from pharmaceutical companies, because it's in the pharmaceutical companies' best interest to keep people on meds.
Right.
And because it makes them money. I mean, let's just be honest. And we know that a lot of those companies out there are multi-billion-dollar companies. And that's all good and fine, because some of these medications do help.
Sure.
But that's not what you do at Spirit of Health. So at Spirit of Health KC, and you are a group of doctors that got together. I think, didn't you mention you had pediatric doctor?
Yeah, we have a pediatric nurse. We have a chiropractor, and they're not necessarily under Spirit of Health, but we share the building with them.
Yeah.
I own the building. But
you refer back
yeah, we
and
put
forth
together a network of people.
A network of people.
I have another doctor in Kansas City I work with, actually, that does specialize working with people with cancer. And so we're always sharing resources to help people.
And basically, when somebody comes in and has a consultation with you or one of your staff members who are very highly educated, I've actually been out to the shop and taken the tour and everything. But if they go out there, you guys are not treating the symptom.
Right.
You are looking for the cause.
Right. Root cause medicine.
The root cause of a lot of everything that goes wrong with somebody, there's got to be a root cause, right?
100%.
So you can't get something and it just shows up. There is a root cause for you to have that.
Right. It's the law of cause and effect. Right? You can't have an effect without a cause. Something causes everything.
Right.
So the question is, what's the cause?
And what about those people who... Many doctors, and a lot of them I have to fill out every time in your pre-visit medical. You have to fill out these 100-page reports, and one of them is always family history,
right.
And they say, oh, that's just genetics. What do you think?
Yeah, so there's a saying in natural medicine where we say genetics loads the gun, but environment pulls the trigger. So this is one of those instances where, is there truth to genetics? You bet. But here's what's fascinating about genetics. As human beings, 99.1% of our genetics are exactly the same. Less than 1% is different. So your eye color might be different, our skin color might be different, but we're 99.1% exactly the same. So is there a genetic component? Possibly. But there was a study I read one time that took cancer patients and found that 3% of those cancer patients were due to a genetic cause. 97% of them were actually environmental, which means they found a cause for that cancer. Because you can research glyphosate, herbicides, pesticides, and know that they're linked to cancer. You don't have to go very far in researching mold to know it absolutely causes cancer.
I just watched the Brown and Crouppen commercials.
Yeah, exactly. We know parasites cause cancer. We know Epstein-Barr virus causes cancer. I mean, we can go on and on and on. So if we know that there's causes for cancer, then wouldn't there be a solution if it's not genetics? Because genetics has been, I don't want to say a lie, but it's something that the medical world has used deceptively to tell people there's no hope, there's no solution, these drugs for the rest of your life is your only option, and there's no other solution. But the real solution is finding out what the cause is, because we know there's causes to all disease. Again, like I said, there's cause and effect. And then we have to teach people what that is, how to detoxify, how to get that out of their body, and they can be well. They don't have to live with that diagnosis.
So when somebody talks to me about detoxification and they say, well, I detox once a year, at least. I just drink after I want to detoxify. I take 15 days where I just drink orange juice or eat citrus or do something like that. I mean, you've heard of those. Yep. And that's not what you're talking about, and that's not what they're just doing that to. They call it a detox, but basically that's just cleansing, right?
Sure. It's like a reset,
You're
like
just washing
after the holidays.
You're washing out everything in your intestinal system,
right?
Which isn't bad.
No,
but that's not what you're talking about. So if I was to walk into you and I would say, I'm just going to throw out something there. I'm going to say, my doctor told me there's no hope for my rheumatoid arthritis, and I'm going to be on strong medication for the rest of my life. That's what they told me. That's what I'm going to have to do. sometimes it affects me, sometimes it doesn't. How if I was to walk into you with that scenario,
Sure.
what would you tell me?
Well, we do a health history as well. We get people's stories. And it's amazing when we start talking to people how they're like, this light bulb goes off sometimes. And it's like, oh, yeah, I remember where I really started getting sick after I went on that missions trip to the Philippines. Or I remember I started getting sick when I lived in that moldy house for 10 years and I was sick there. And there's so many times that people just in their own stories will realize that there was a moment in time or a situation they were in that actually led to that disease. And so all we're doing is we're talking to people, getting their information, trying to find what that root cause is, and then lab testing, because the proof is in the pudding. We always say test, don't guess. So I had a gal who lived in a moldy apartment here in Kansas City, and
Did she know the mold was there?
No.
Okay.
She knew she was sick.
Okay.
She knew she was sick, and that was it.
Okay.
And then when I got the lab test results, I can't remember, but 17 or 18 of the mold toxins that we test for, because we checked 29, and she had 17 or 18 of them in the red, above the toxic level. And it's like, here, it's so powerful because doctors say she's crazy. She's not crazy.
Right.
Okay. Now it's not a mystery. There's actually a cause. Like mold is real. Mold poisoning is real. And so because we found out the cause, now we can actually treat it and get her better. She sent me a video testimonial. She's doing great. She's a brand new person. She gets her life back. How many people suffer for years, decades, get on medications that can at best band-aid the solutions and actually never get their life back? We actually help people get their life back by helping to treat the underlying root cause.
And if somebody is on top of that, if somebody's living in that environment and doesn't know it and they are severely allergic to mold, it would just amplify the situation.
100%. Yeah, because everybody's body's detoxification systems are different depending on their mineral levels, their congestion levels, how their liver's working, their kidneys are working, their colon's working. I mean, we lab test, we check all of that. So we're going to do blood work. Is your kidney compromised? Is your liver congested? Do you have bioflow or like gallstones or gallbladder issues? Have you been chronically constipated for 10 years, right?
Right.
Like all of these things are going to play a role in the person's ability to detoxify, but it's also part of the reason why they might have got sick in the first place. You've been chronically constipated for 20 years and then suddenly you get diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. I mean, all those toxins and poisons have been storing in your bodies for decades. Diseases don't just come out of nowhere.
So tell me how this detoxification program, take me through the 101 course. I'm a beginner.
Sure.
Speak to me as a small child or your favorite dog.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean,
so I'm walking into your store, and how's the process work?
Right. So we have, first of all, there's unbelievable amounts of resources on our website and our YouTube channel. There's over 800 videos.
SpiritofHealthKC.com.
800 videos on YouTube. You type in the word colon cleanse or enema or kidney, or you're going to get tons of videos that I've done in the past. But 101 is colon. Hippocrates said all disease look to the bowels and the spine.
Okay.
So the digestive tract, the colon, that's where most disease processes start. So the first place to start is a colon cleanse, and I always combine that with a parasite cleanse. So if you just want to start, we have a Spirit of Health colon cleanse. We have 2 different versions. And do a parasite cleanse, do those simultaneously. And then there's actually a cleansing order. And I've done videos on this. Okay, think about the way God designed the human body. How do we get rid of waste? Did God know our bodies were going to be toxic and poisoned? Yeah, that's why we go number 1 and number 2, right? That's how we were designed. And that's how toxins and poisons get out. And so you have to clean your colon, clean your liver and your gallbladder. You have to clean your kidneys. And that's where you start. And we actually have cleanses, 10-day cleanses, 21-day cleanses for different organ systems, and even explain and walk people through the process in which you should do it. And it's amazing. Like, you can come see me, and obviously it costs money to do a consultation and lab testing. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, but it's not that significant compared to what you're what that person is experiencing in their life.
You can't put a price on your health, right?
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. And so
Totally.
if I was to walk in or call you, and you can always call the shop at 816-492-5648. But if I was to call and I was to say, I need a consultation because I have severe migraine headaches, and I want to figure out how to get rid of this. So you would blood test me and test me for all of these things, and your tests can actually show if I have if something's not working right, or I have a parasite or something.
Yeah. I mean, we could give you dozens of examples where people had headaches and migraines that don't anymore, because there's always a cause, but it's not one thing. So in the medical system, what do you take for that? You take a painkiller, you take ibuprofen, you take a strong drug, and what does that do? It dulls or disables your nervous system, or shuts off NRF2 pathways, or something that dulls the pain, right?
Right.
So people are chronically magnesium deficient. That right there can cause headaches and migraines. Fungus, mold, candida, yeast, these infectious disease organisms absolutely cause this, but also just backed up bowels. The gut-brain connection. A lot of people have heard of that there's a gut-brain connection. I've had people do colon cleanses, clean out their bowels, years of migraines disappear. Why? Because they were so backed up. The toxins and poisons were backed up into their body. And once you release those toxins, guess what? The pain and inflammation goes away, because God designed the body with a system of symptoms to help you know that there's a problem, so you can actually work on correcting it, not just band-aiding or masking the symptoms.
That brings me to another quick point. That brings me to something else you just mentioned there. What I wanted to ask you, so I get that kind of cleansing, and I understand that, and people should probably do that, probably regularly.
Yeah, I mean, a couple times a year, spring and fall is a good time to do a cleanse. Yep. But if you actually have a health issue or a diagnosis, you need to dig deeper and see what's going on.
Like, you're pretty familiar with my age, but so far I've had like 6 colonoscopies. So,
right.
So, and I do it more often, so don't think I'm that old. So, but I do that more often because of the cancer.
Right.
So, but in your shop, and I don't want to, I want to keep going on the detoxification because I want to talk about that, but you also have some other things in your shop, some other equipment in your shop that can actually help with the detoxification also.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a bunch of therapies. We have a ion detox foot bath. You pull toxins out through your feet.
That was amazing when you were explaining that story to me.
Yeah.
And you actually saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain that real fast for the audience? Because that was fascinating to me.
Sure. Yeah, it's called ionization. I mean, it's kind of like you think about a battery. It has a positive and negative charge. Our bodies are electric. They have positive and negative charges.
Correct.
So there's toxins and poisons in the body that have a positive or a negative charge. And so through electrolysis, through water combined with salt and minerals and electricity, you can detox the lymphatic system by this ion exchange that happens in the body. So basically, the body has these positively charged toxins, let's say, like herbicides, pesticides, funguses, mold, viruses, things like that. And then the foot bath is sending this negative charge into the body. And everything happens in the body through fluid exchange, through the exchange of water. Toxins going in, toxins coming out, in and out of the cells, in and out of the tissues. And so it helps pull those positively charged toxins out of the body through the fluid systems, out of our feet, because our feet are the largest pores in the human body, which is why we get stinky, sweaty feet, right, when we exercise.
Right.
And that's how toxins, the natural process of sweating through your feet, we're just accelerating that through this ion exchange. And it's amazing. It works.
And so you were explaining when the water went in there, it was clear.
Right.
And then when they're finished,
it's not.
It's not. So you're seeing all that detoxification come out of their body in that one single treatment.
Absolutely.
You had a fascinating story you told me about a gentleman who
The painter?
Yeah, was it? I couldn't remember if it was construction or painter. So explain that real fast.
Yeah, he just had chronic knee pain, and he was a painter, so he's always up and down ladders, and it's really hard to paint and do your job when you have severe knee pain like that. And so he would come in once a week. He would do a foot bath, and that would be good for him for the week. He said, if I do the foot bath once a week, my knee pain disappears.
Everything's gone.
All the pain's gone. I can go to work. I can go up and down the ladders. Now, he had to do it once a week.
But he could make a living.
He could make a living. And again, it goes back to just proving cause and effect. There's toxins, there's poisons. There were some type of toxins deposited in his knees because it's a joint, and toxins have an affiliation for joints.
And on that, we'll be right back after this quick break on This is Kansas City. Welcome back to This is Kansas City. We are joined in studio with Dr. Vaughn Lawrence, Spirit of Health KC. They're located right at 5901 Main Street in Grandview, Missouri, right there. It's easy highway access. You can also get there a number of different ways, but it's right there off of the intersection of, what is it, 470?
Interstate 49,
49.
Right at Main Street. 71 that turns into 49.
Yeah, 71 turns into 49. Okay, right there.
That's it.
And then, there's all kinds of different ways to get there, but spiritofhealthkc.com for more information. When we left off, Spirit of Health KC, they transform your life through real health solutions. So what Dr. Vaughn is trying to do is get to a root cause of different ailments that you could be having in your body so he can cure the root cause and not just the symptoms, which everyone else is focused on.
Correct.
Cure the symptoms. I have a cold. What do? I go get cold medicine. And all that's doing is getting me through the cold.
Right.
It's not getting the virus of the cold out of my body. It's letting my body feel less symptoms as it, by itself, gets me over the cold.
Right.
Because my immune system will start to. But there are ways to improve your immune system, and there are ways to bring down inflammation in your body and all of that. And that's all part of the detoxification that we were talking about. So when we were on break, I wanted you to take me through the steps of detoxification. So when I would go in, and you mentioned a very interesting story, tell me that story about leukemia.
Yeah, so there's a gentleman who came to me who was diagnosed with leukemia. And him and his wife were, convinced that there's a reason that he had this leukemia. So we're talking health history, going through, where he worked. And I ask all those questions. Where'd you grow up? Did you live around farms that have herbicides and pesticides, or a nuclear plant, or, whatever? There's documentaries about people living near factories down in Texas, and the whole town gets cancer. Like, it's just a real thing. So why aren't we talking about it, right? So he was a steel worker. He worked in the steelworking industry for 28 years, and he's like, I just wonder if that could have something to do with it. He's got this leukemia diagnosis. So we ran all the labs, and 3 of the toxins that came back in his environmental toxin panel were called xylenes, Xylene. And in the description, it talks about how...
From your lab report?
From our lab report.
Okay.
We checked 70-some different environmental toxins, all kinds of herbicides and pesticides and solvents and parabens and all kinds of things. And these xylenes are carcinogenic. They're known to cause cancer. And it says, this was wild, it said right in the description on possible sources, it said steelworkers is one of the common places people get these xylene toxins. Now, I took it a step further. If anybody's heard of PubMed, PubMed is the go-to website for all the research studies, double-blind placebo studies, all the documented case studies done by medical doctors, universities. If you heard this study came out of Harvard or this study came out of Cambridge, all that's on PubMed. Okay, so these are scientific documented articles. I typed in the word leukemia and xylenes, and I found, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was thousands of articles. So there's researched, documented, published studies that every doctor in America has access to that shows that this toxin found in the steelworking industry is linked to leukemia. The studies have been done. But who's talking about it? Who's looking for it? We found it.
Wow. That's impressive. And now you bring him through, I would say it's a fairly long process. I don't know how long it is.
It takes months, yeah.
It takes months, but months isn't years and years and years. No. So you're only talking months. That's why I said, I don't think it's long. Mm-mm. It's just, months, yes. And that starts the long process of getting that out of his body. That's what detoxification is, getting that, what'd you call them?
Those xylenes, yeah. So whatever the toxin is, I love proving to people that these toxins aren't in their body anymore. Because first and foremost, we want them to be better. We want them to feel better, have more energy, have a clear brain, the brain fog go away. We want obviously the physical symptoms and the quality of life to improve. But we also like to show it to them in the labs. And I wait a while. I usually wait 6 months to recheck those types of labs because I want them to see the results. You had glyphosate or this herbicide or pesticide or atrazine or the xylenes or whatever it is, you had it at this level, and 6 months later after you've gone through this detoxification process, it's gone. It's down into the green, or it's cut in half, or whatever. I want people to see the huge, significant changes that motivates them to continue. And I've proven to people thousands of times over that these toxins can come out of your body because we show it. We prove it on the way they feel, and the lab tests prove it as well.
And speaking of all of that, this is not just for everybody. You have people that are close to you that you work with also, and one of them was when you were explaining it to me, a juvenile,
right,
a child,
right,
experiencing, what was the symptom?
Yeah, there's a diagnosis called PANS or PANDAS. It's a pediatric acute neuropsychiatric disorder, but it's basically where a child starts to develop neurological symptoms seemingly out of nowhere. So tics, head movements, arm movements, things you see in like Tourette's and, some of these types of syndromes. Yeah. And so, immediately you want a lab test and you want to see what's causing it because...
and your lab tests are different in a way that you're looking for something that if I went in to get my standard lab tests at a doctor's office, like I have to go get, once every 3 months or whatever it is, it's different. You're looking for something different.
Right.
Which they aren't looking for.
That's what I always explain to people is like our lab testing, we're checking for things that medical doctors aren't checking for.
Okay.
The only thing we do that's similar would be blood work.
Right.
It's just that we actually know how to read it and know how to explain it to a patient and explain what the markers would. It's mind-boggling that I've seen thousands of people and I've never one time had anybody say that their medical doctor explained their blood work to them or any of the markers on the blood work. It makes no sense to me. But it just shows that there's not any education happening. We do the blood work to give you a diagnosis, to give you a drug, see you later. Yeah. And that's just really sad because that's not health. That's not health care. That's sick care.
Yeah, that's true. So back to the juvenile experiencing this, all of these symptoms just virtually out of nowhere. You tested,
right? And
what'd you find?
Found bacteria. Found Lyme disease.
What's Lyme disease?
So Lyme disease is a bacteria. It's Borrelia burgdorferi.
Spread through.
It's a spirochete. Spread through. So people think it's just ticks, like, oh, I've never gotten bit by a tick or I never had the bullseye rash, when you think of the Lyme disease. But Lyme disease now is spread through mosquitoes, oak mites, even rats, even human transmission now. So Lyme.
The mites that come up like oh, wow.
Lyme disease has become an epidemic. because it's spread through so many different ways these days. And so that's why I always have people check, because you might not think that you have Lyme disease because you weren't quote unquote bitten by a tick or saw a bullseye rash, but it has become an epidemic problem. And if you're sick or you have a serious diagnosis or a serious illness and it's a mystery, right? You have no answers to it, then you want to check. We did a whole masterclass last year called Mystery Illness. We did a 4-week series on mystery illness, on all these sick people with no diagnosis. Doctors have no clue, think it's all in their head. And these are the causes: Lyme, mold, parasites, the chemical toxins I just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, going back to what we said originally, there's always a root cause, and it's not genetic.
Could be food too, right? I mean, some of the food that we eat.
Absolutely. Our food supply has been, poisoned. It's really hard to find real food these days.
Right.
Real farmers markets, fresh food. It's a challenge.
It's
absolutely
everything
a challenge.
from cleaning supplies,
right,
all the way to, everything in our lives is, because it's gotten so chemical based, I would say.
Right.
I mean, so I bought and I didn't buy it. I just looked at the label because I am a top guy on looking at food and food labels.
Right.
And so when I turn something over and it's fresh, right, but it say it's not going to expire for 3 months, I put it back.
Right.
How could that not expire for 3 months? It's just refrigerated.
Right.
The reason is because it's got so many chemicals in it.
Has to. Yep.
That's preserving, so nothing can grow in there.
Right.
Which means I'm ingesting that.
Right.
Which means that's bringing toxins into my body
and killing your good bacteria.
Right.
Right.
And that's a huge problem, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so that's what they do with your. So, did you have any kind of resolution to the juvenile? To the
absolutely.
child?
Yeah.
Well, what happened? What happened?
Well, we did herbal therapies, herbal treatments. There's a lot of good herbal treatments out there. We used the therapies we have at Spirit of Health. We did a Rife machine and ion detox foot bath, and she's doing amazing. She's 95%. I don't know if I would say she's 100%, but she's 95% and sharp, smart, wonderful, amazing, beautiful little girl. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And on that, we will be right back after this quick break on This is Kansas City. Welcome back to This is Kansas City. And I encourage everybody to enjoy this day. Maybe go visit Spirit of Health KC. And everybody in Dr. Vaughn's shop is very well educated and very well trained. So if you're looking for something specific, because there is a lot there, when you walk in there, if you missed the show that we did there on remote, how many things are in your shop when I'm talking about different bulk herbs, teas, detox cleansing systems, everything you have in that retail division right there.
Yeah. We have over 2,500 products. We have over 200 single individual herbs that we sell. So if you're looking for, turmeric or milk thistle or reishi mushroom or whatever, and then we have over 60 of our own formulas for specific issues. So if you have allergies, we have a tea for that. If you have a blood sugar issue, we have tea for that. We have a weight loss tea. We have a liver tea. So all of those options. And then, of course, the different categories, women's, men's, children's. Yeah, we have a constipation tea.
Hey, that one you talked about on the coffee that people, what was it called? Mud?
Mud water?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a coffee replacement.
It's a coffee replacement.
Yeah, and then all the different sections, and we have a lot of devices, like protection from EMFs for cell phones. We have weighted blankets. We have water, purifying devices. We actually sell saunas, far infrared saunas.
The mat.
Yeah, the earthing. Grounding sheets. Yeah, we have the grounding sheets.
Which means
Yeah,
what to people that outside of, because I took the tour, I understand it, but
yeah, just connecting you to the earth. It'd be the equivalent of being outside barefoot on the
think
ground.
it's fantastic, and I think it's fascinating because you know the charge of the earth,
Right.
which is what?
The Schumann resonance, which is 7.83 hertz. That's the frequency of the earth, which resonates perfectly with the human body because it goes back to God, creation, Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve, how God designed it.
And I have to tell a quick story. When I was in there doing the interview, Dr. Vaughn gave me a bottle of inflammation. Can you remember what that was?
Either Dodocin or Canacumin.
Yeah, it was one of those.
Yep.
Okay, and so I started taking it, and, I have... my life's kind of stressful, so I'm always trying to figure out what to do, and sometimes I get headaches, sometimes my joints hurt, and sometimes that. I haven't had any of that.
Really?
No, none.
So I don't think you told me that.
I can give you firsthand information.
Testimonial, yes.
That I know that these work, and I wouldn't say that on the air if they didn't.
Yeah.
So I do know that one worked, and it worked for me.
And if I could share just what's powerful about that is medications all do something to interrupt or dull or interfere with normal function, like block nervous system function, right? That's why it has all the side effects, because it's actually damaging to your body. You take herbs and they work, they're actually healing your body. Turmeric's healing your body. Oregano's healing your body. It's killing infection in your body. It's reducing inflammation in the body. It's cleaning out your liver. So you're actually, not only does it work, but it actually partners with God's design of the body to further heal your body, completely opposite of what pharmaceutical drugs do.
But also you were explaining, in addition to that, you were explaining that if, for example, if I'm trying to reduce inflammation and do that, and I know turmeric does that, but just by going out and getting turmeric or cooking with it or eating a lot of it is not going to actually get that into my metabolism fast enough, or that's why I take the super concentrate?
Yeah, it's concentrated. It's CO2 extracted, so it's going to have much higher, levels of curcumin in it, which is the active ingredient in turmeric. And so it's about getting quality sourcing, and it's about getting more concentrated, stronger products that work. It's medicine. It's real medicine. It's God's medicine. It's just there's different ways to get it, right?
For thousands
Absolutely.
and thousands of years.
It's all we had for thousands of years.
Right. And when you were explaining some of that and some of those herbs to me, tell me the difference. When you're looking for a stronger herb or any of those kinds of things, when you're looking for a stronger one, the difference is, and when I talked to you about it, I was talking to you about in a cooking sense.
Right.
I said, I go buy fresh herbs at whatever store I go buy them at, and yeah, they're grown locally. And they grow oregano here, and so I cook with it. It's right. Okay, it's good. But you said
all of our herbs are organic or wildcrafted,
and that's the one.
Wildcrafted's better.
Why is that?
Because it's grown in its natural environment where it's supposed to grow, which means it's going to be a much stronger plant, more medicinal plant, and you're going to taste and feel the difference in getting a real plant from its real environment.
And that's what makes it stronger, because
Absolutely.
That's where it was. It wasn't transported there.
Yeah, or it's not been babied on a farm.
Okay, or a greenhouse.
Right, or a greenhouse.
Or
exactly.
a greenhouse.
Yep.
Okay, I get it.
Yep.
I mean, that makes total sense, right? I mean, it just makes total sense that things would do better in their natural environment.
Right.
Just kind of like, sorry, Italians. Tomatoes aren't from Italy. They're only from the Americas. Sorry. We brought them over to you.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. No, they're from the Americas, mostly South America.
That's
but then they brought those over in the 1500s, and boom, there you go.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, I really appreciate you being on the show. Spirit of Health, KC, Dr. Vaughn Lawrence, 5901 Main Street, Grandview, Missouri. If people have questions, which I'm sure they're going to have, what's the best way to get hold of you, or should they just go to spiritofhealthkc.com?
Yeah, just go to spiritofhealthkc.com, YouTube channel, Instagram, email us. We have an email info at spiritofhealthkc.com, or call us.
Give them a call at 816-492-5648. Remember, if you want that any of those great deals that they have in there, if you want to get a consultation and schedule it with Dr. Vaughn or any of his other people in the clinic or in the wellness center, just go online and you can schedule an appointment, and then they'll meet with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can do a free 15-minute discovery call. Anybody can do that.
There you go. Free 15-minute discovery call. Can't turn that down. The word was free. Thank you, Kansas City, for listening. Enjoy your this afternoon and enjoy this weekend. We'll be back Monday at 2 o'clock on This is Kansas City.